What is up, everybody? This is Adam. Welcome back to Fouled Out. Welcome to my least anticipated episode of this podcast ever since its inception almost 300 episodes ago. We're coming up on episode 300 soon. This is the episode I have looked forward to doing the least because Matt is going to join me shortly to talk about my favorite football team, the New England Patriots, losing the Super Bowl 29-13 to the Seattle Seahawks. We're just going to talk about it until I can't anymore. I'm sure I'm going to tap out at some point in this podcast. And I know a lot of you are here for the Schadenfreude after I have been pretty unbearable regarding the Patriots for quite some time now. So I hope you all enjoy this podcast episode, however long it may last. We'll try to make it the full hour. Before we get started, just a reminder, you can reach out to us, fouledoutsports@gmail.com. Really appreciate you guys listening. We always love to hear from you. Hit us up. You can make fun of me for the Patriots losing the Super Bowl, or if you want to talk basketball, hockey, college basketball, all of the things. Yeah, I still, even though we're at a sucky moment right now, still appreciate you guys listening and really appreciate your support. Go check us out on YouTube as well. See, I'm all jumbled, man. I can't even get my thoughts together. Go check out the YouTube, like and subscribe, make me feel better, help us grow it over there. But for now, let's grab Matt. Let's talk about the Super Bowl because we have to. Let's go. All right. Well, that sucked. Oh, that fucking sucked. That was not as fun as I thought it was going to be. Super Bowl 60. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
The wrong one of us is asking that question.
Yeah. Well, so I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, the actual loss. So I guess just to get us all on the same page, Patriots lose the Super Bowl to the Seattle Seahawks 29-13 in a game that sounds way closer than it actually was. On Monday, I was getting ready for work, and I was like, it's kind of like a 4 out of 10 on the pain scale. Honestly, this loss does not hurt that badly. It sucks to lose a Super Bowl, but this is probably not even, it's definitely not in my top 10 sports losses of all time. It's probably not even in my top 5 football losses of all time. I gave it a 4 of 10, 5 of 10 on the pain scale. For reference, the other 3 Super Bowls I watched the Patriots lose with Tom Brady. The Nick Foles Super Bowl is 10 out of 10. The 2011 Giants Super Bowl is 10 out of 10. And the 2007 perfect season loss is 23 out of 10. That's still by far the most painful, probably the most painful sports loss ever to me, because that's still, the undefeated season is still the one I think about where I get a pit in my stomach where I'm like, oh God. And I want to say this off the rip because I'm going to talk a lot about the New England Patriots on this episode because they're my favorite team and they just lost the Super Bowl. Thank you very much. So I want to say this before anybody thinks I'm making excuses. Seattle is just 100% a better football team than the New England Patriots. You play that game, Seattle wins it 100 times out of 100. There is no adjustment or there's nothing that could be done. They were just flat out better every phase of the game. There's nothing else to say about that.
Yes, and I want to address this now because I know we're going to talk about your team a lot. You said that the game wasn't as close as the score was, and to a degree, I would agree with that. However, I feel like a lot of the energy behind those statements is that Seattle came out with this dominant performance, and that is also not what we saw. This was not a game where I'm like, oh man, look out for Seattle next year. I'm like, they nailed their window.
Yeah,
great. I don't know if they win their division next year. Like, I just this was not a team that like owned the game on both sides of the field. It was really like their defense was great. Uh, we'll get into what your team was dealing with as well, but like, man, like I know Kenneth Walker was the MVP, and there was a lot of talk about Sam Darnold, but like it was the defense and the kicker that won that game. Full stop. Like the offense was just there.
Yeah, 100%. This is like exactly what Mike McDonald wanted, where he's like, hey, we're going to win a Super Bowl with defense and special teams, and the offense just has to not mess it up, basically. And they did that. And we talked about that on the pod last week when we were talking about the preview for the game, was like, that's what they want to do. New England has to force them to do something else. Yeah. And New England was not able to force them to do anything else. So we'll talk about why in a minute. I agree with you. Your point on Seattle. I think kind of whoever won the Super Bowl this year, we were going to feel that way.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it a lot during the season, is like so many of the good teams were so significantly flawed this year. I think like the only team that could have won the Super Bowl where I would be like, watch out for them in the future, is a team I feel that way about anyway, where I'm like looking at the Denver Broncos next year with the return of Bo Nix, and I'm like, God, if they could do a couple things, and that team could get pretty good next year too.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel that way anyway, though, even though they didn't make the Super Bowl.
Maybe the Rams, like they have a ticking clock. Don't get me wrong, but like if they could add anything to that defensive secondary to beef it up a little bit, like.
Well, the Rams are just never going to play competent enough special teams to.
That is true.
Be a dynasty.
That's true. If they can ever catch a punt.
They're one. Everybody's Achilles heel is like the Patriots like can't block anybody. The Seattle still has Sam Darnold, who was not good in this game.
No.
It's like, there's like the Buffalo Bills can't play defense. The Chiefs were bad this year. Like for the Rams, it's literally like if you could just catch a punt, you would have won the Super Bowl. That's it.
Yeah.
But I've been saying this the last couple of days. Well, I guess two things on this game is like, one, if you're going to lose a Super Bowl, I'd rather just lose this way, where it's not like there was one play or one call or one moment that I'm going to agonize over. It's just like, okay, yeah, they were clearly better. We can just move on. The Giants Super Bowl, the undefeated, like when we lost the undefeated season, that I have to watch the fucking helmet catch every single year. I cannot go a full year without seeing the helmet catch somehow. Not on purpose. I don't want to see the helmet catch. But it's a very, very famous play, even though Eli Manning was actually down before he threw that ball by the rules of football. But that's okay. The 2011 Super Bowl, it's the Mario Manningham down the sideline, the Nick Foles game, it's the Philly special that you got to hear about all the time. I guess one kind of problem with this game, there's going to be nothing memorable about it. This is going to be an extremely forgettable Super Bowl that people are just going to be like, oh yeah, like
I mean, like, if you are talking about with the clock running, yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, just like in general, right? Like, what are you going to remember from this Super Bowl?
From the game perspective, probably not.
Yeah.
Boy, is this halftime show going to be talked about for a long time.
That was probably the most memorable part of the entire Super Bowl, right? Is like people are going to be like, oh, that was the Bad Bunny Super Bowl.
Yeah.
No, nobody's going to be like, oh, you remember that play where like, there's no famous play. There's no Malcolm Butler interception. There's no 28-3 comeback. There's no, and yes, I'm picking examples that make me feel better. Just let me have a minute. Okay?
You have like what 3 separate times now on your own volition brought up the not undefeated season. Like you can, I'll give you a little break here.
Well, this is the thing is I say that this is like a 4 out of 10 pain scale. And then I got in my car Monday morning. I drive to work. It takes me like 40 minutes to get to work on Monday mornings. and typically I listen to football podcasts. I drove in silence for 40 minutes on Monday. Just both hands on the wheel, staring at the open road, listening to absolutely nothing my entire way to work. So maybe I'm in more pain. Like, you know the movie Fever Pitch with Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah.
Where like him and what's her face? I forget the actress's name that's in that.
Drew Barrymore?
Was it Drew Barrymore?
Drew Barrymore.
Wow, you would think I would know that. So like Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore break up at one point, or something bad happens, and his friends like go to his apartment and find him sitting in the dark watching the Bill Buckner like replay over and over again, and they're like, "Oh God, he's not well." That's me. The more I mention the near perfect season, the more that I'm actually hurting on the inside.
Yeah.
It's like, God, if he mentions it 2 more times, we're going to send somebody over there to make sure he's okay.
If you mention it 2 more times, I literally have to drive across the state. Like,
yeah. We'll move on. But yeah, I guess like all in all, I'd rather just lose like this, where it is just very clear that the other team was better and we weren't ready to be there. And like, we can kind of talk about what happens next, but from the actual game perspective, and I guess I'm gonna put a caveat on this, and my wife is like very, very adamant that I tell everybody that listens to this podcast that I turn the game off early. She's like, make sure you mention it because you did it. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to sit there through the end of that. There was no reason to watch the last, like, it was I think it was right after Drake threw that interception. Like, so he throws the touchdown to Mac Hollins. They get the stop. They start driving down again, and it's like, oh man, if they score here, like, might have a little something. Matt sending me like the little eyes looking sideways emojis as they move the ball down the field.
Immediately, whoop, nope.
Yeah, very next play, interception to Julian Love. And that's when I was like, I don't need to watch the end of this. Marley's like, how are you going to talk about it on the podcast? I'm like, trust me, there's a lot to talk about. We'll be fine.
I do want to point out, and I don't think like this in and of itself is the difference between like winning or losing here, because obviously we saw who the better team was. But I do believe that if Will Campbell is fully healthy, we see a different game. It's just like he clearly wasn't right. If we saw how he played before he got injured earlier this year, and you saw how he looked closing out the season, like those are 2 radically different players.
Yeah, so this is something that I'm a little bit unsure of, and I think that this is by far the biggest question facing the Patriots this offseason. Is Will Campbell your starting left tackle of the future? Vrabel has already come out and said, yes, he is. He's like, this. He is our starting tackle. Don't, stop talking about it. Shut it down. They're saying that he was playing with a torn ligament in his knee.
Yep.
So this is the thing. The coaching in this game was kind of baffling to me from Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels. I will say I thought they had a good defensive game plan. I actually think the Patriots defense deserves a lot of credit for this game being as close as it was.
Yeah.
The number one, like, most positive thing to come out of this for the Patriots is we talked about Christian Gonzalez's possible extension. Extend that man now. However much money you're allowed to pay him, give it to him to keep him here forever. He was phenomenal against JSN, against Shaheed. Like, he was phenomenal. Easily could have been the MVP of the game if it was closer or the Patriots had won. With Will Campbell specifically, how long are they just willing to leave him out there as an absolute turnstile for the entire playoff? So Will Campbell allowed 29 pressures in the playoffs, which is the most since that stat started getting recorded in 2016. He clearly, like, whether the answer is either like, okay, he wasn't right. Maybe he was playing with a torn ligament. Maybe he never came back fully from the injury. Like, there's a lot of things, but like, you left him out there for 4 straight games, even though he was a complete turnstile by the end. And you left him out there against the likes of Will Anderson, Nick Bonito, and then this dark side defense that just was fucking annihilating the Patriots offensive line the entire game. I think this is Mike Vrabel's biggest strength and biggest weakness. We saw this with Ramondre this season, where he had like fumble problems at the beginning of the season, and a lot of Patriot fans, including me, were like, you need to fire this man into the sun. He cannot be on this team anymore. Vrabel's like, he's our running back. We're sticking with him. We're blah, blah. And he ended up being massive for us later in the season. He was good for the majority of the playoffs too. But the loyalty to Will Campbell and just to like leave him out there, at what point are you doing him a disservice? And this team a disservice by saying like, he's not 100%. He has a torn ligament in his knee. Not that Vidarian Lowe is great, the backup tackle, but he played serviceably when Will Campbell was out during the regular season. Like, is this diminished version of Will Campbell really that much better than Vidarian Lowe, where we can't even give Vidarian Lowe a look? You know, and maybe he's trying to protect Will Campbell, but I would argue that you actually did more damage by leaving him out there, because he has been the GOAT. And like, you know, in the negative direction of this Super Bowl, he's getting fucking hammered.
Yeah,
right now.
Scapegoated.
Yeah, it's not like, I want to be really clear about this too, is that it's not Will Campbell's fault. Nobody could block.
No,
nobody could block, and this is
no.
The
There
thing.
were 4 other guys that needed to block, and spoiler alert, they did not.
Well, and also from the coaching perspective, though, it's like, okay, can we keep people in to block? Like, can we can we get a tight end out there? Can we get another lineman? My feeling in this game, I know that somewhere this isn't true, but this was my gut feeling watching this game. The Patriots decided they couldn't block Seattle before the game ever started. And they were working from a perspective of like, how are we going to win this game when we can't block the other team? And they didn't even try. Like, they're just like, yeah. And so there was no, like, I was waiting for the adjustment to be like, we're going to put a tight end on the left and like double team with Will Campbell. We're going to like put the running back over to that side. We're going to do this. We're going to do that.
Yeah.
We're going to play an empty and get rid of the ball quickly, which is what I was advocating for last week, was like quick passes, running with Drake May. They didn't do any of that stuff. They did nothing. I have the stat right here. This was from Pizzuta on Twitter. That's the guy's last name, NFL reporter. The New England offensive game plan was puzzling. 79.1% of snaps and 11 personnel. They had no game over 70% in the regular season. They got dime 53% of the time, but still couldn't run. 0 snaps in empty to try to spread the Seahawks out. Season low in 21 personnel of 1.5%. 1 snap in jumbo. They just let Seattle play. Josh McDaniels has been great this season, but I bitched about Josh McDaniels for years because he has times like this that are so frustrating. And this was like how I felt with the Eagles Super Bowl on defense with Matt Patricia, is I'm like, just try something else. Just like anything, please just try anything else, because what you're doing is not working. And arguably, they didn't try anything else until the very end of the game when Seattle was already in prevent defense.
That very message to Matt Patricia got Quandre Diggs traded. So
don't try that.
For goddamn nothing.
Well, but like the Eagles Super Bowl with Nick Foles, they just refused to blitz. They're like, we're just not going to blitz him.
Yeah.
He gave up 38 points. I'm like, just please blitz him. Do something. That's how I felt with Josh McDaniels, is like they kept coming out in 11 personnel and trying to run the ball up the middle. I'm like, it's just not working.
Yeah.
You have to do something else. And like Witherspoon was, I thought Witherspoon probably should have been the MVP of this game.
I would have been okay with that. I honestly feel like Jason Myers is probably the most deserving MVP.
Yeah, probably him too. But like, you know, Witherspoon coming off of so like slot blitzes and stuff like that was absolutely devastating because they couldn't pick it up. So like, okay, after the first time it happens, what is your hot read call? Like, what's the hot route or whatever to get rid of the ball quickly next time that happens? There wasn't one. It just kept happening over and over again. And it's like this team was so good at like being mentally tough and adjusting during games all season. That completely went out the window in this game. The other thing was like this team just made whenever there was like a play that needed to be made, they just found a way to make it throughout the season. Like we talked about that with the Broncos with like the practice squad guy they called up getting a hand on the field goal that would have tied the game. Like, the Texans game, they just found ways to score when they absolutely had to. There was so many times in this game where like, Christian Gonzalez dropped a couple interceptions. Sam Darnold threw him 3 or 4 passes that could have been picked off, and none of them were. And they had numerous times where they were pressuring Sam Darnold, had him in his hands, and then let him slip out of the pressure. Like,
yeah.
So kind of like weird because everything this team was all season, like all of that magic completely flipped in this game, and like they didn't get the big play when they need. Like they didn't get the interception. They didn't sack Sam Darnold. They didn't make adjustments. They didn't like spread it out for Drake and like let him play. Like they just, again, I go back to like, it felt like they were like, okay, we can't block. So how do we win this game? How do we win a game where we can't block? And like, you can't go in just.
Yeah. You've already like, if that is the assumption, you've already lost.
Yeah. You can't wave the white flag before the game ever begins. And that's how I felt in the first quarter. I knew we were going to lose this game immediately because everything I said on the podcast last week completely went out the window. My only hope was like we kept holding them to field goals.
Yeah.
To start, and it was like 9-0, and I was like, okay, like maybe we get a touchdown and then get a turnover, and we see maybe we're in business. Like
if that touchdown pass happened in the second quarter, how different is this game? Right? Like, because you're going in, what was it, like 12-7 at half?
Yeah.
Or was it 9? I don't know. It
was either 9 or 12.
Yeah.
It's confusing because I listed like the two things that Seattle's defense was weak against was like quarterback runs and yards after the catch. And we had no designed quarterback runs with Drake May the entire game.
Yeah.
We had 1 RPO the entire game, and Drake threw it behind Hunter Henry. So that's tough. I mean, the other really tough part of this game was like, I text you this. It got to the point where even when there wasn't pressure, Drake was completely rattled in this game. Because like even when he did have time to throw, he was missing really easy throws that he did not miss at all this entire season. So even when it just he felt like
the turns tabled.
Yeah, it seems like he felt like he was under pressure the entire game, even when he wasn't. Like there was like phantom pressure, basically.
Yeah,
he was seeing ghost.
Sam passed it on to him.
Yeah. But I say all that to say, I kind of roundabout way of saying this. You brought up Will Campbell. The biggest decision the Patriots have to make is whether or not this guy is their starting tackle moving forward. Because we talked about this when he got drafted, is like maybe he can be a tackle at this level. Maybe. If not, he has the upside of an elite guard. And you had him as a rookie playing left tackle this season. You had Jared Wilson, who was a college center at Georgia, playing left guard all season. So if you go into the offseason and you're like, hey, maybe he's not the left tackle of the future, and you are able to find a way to acquire a left tackle, and all of those guys can just shift over one spot, I think that you could go from what was a pretty rough offensive line in the playoffs, to be generous, to an elite offensive line. I mean, the key is, how do you find a left tackle who's good, especially when you're drafting 31st in the NFL draft? But if you could do so and you slide everybody over one, I think that solves a lot of problems.
First thing is, you drafted him where you drafted him, right? To go into year 2 moving him inside the guard. I think not a great move in terms of roster building. Like, that's a lot of money to be investing in a guard on a rookie contract. Also, one of the better guard free agency like classes that we've seen in quite some time this offseason. So, like, given that you're going to be drafting 31st in the draft, like, where are you finding a left tackle that's going to be better than Will Campbell when he's healthy?
Well, the more realistic scenario is like, okay, maybe you get a left guard and Will Campbell stays at tackle and Jared Wilson slides over to center, because, like, again, every position was a problem. But I just want to address the thing you said about, like, you know, moving him inside second year is not great because of the roster construction. I don't disagree with you. I'm just like, if you, and I know that they don't think this way, so it's kind of a moot point, but if you were sitting in the Patriots coaching room and you were like, yeah, he's a guard. If you all agreed he's a guard, I would argue it's a bigger mistake to be like, well, we can't move him inside. That would be dumb. We're paying him too much money. He has to play tackle. If you don't think he's a tackle, like, just put the good players in positions where they're going to be good. This is the sunk cost fallacy, is you're like, well, we spent the 4th overall pick on him. Better just fucking play him where he sucks.
Honestly, if you're going to move him inside, I might prefer to have a look at him at center too.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the move is, but like
over guard, just because, like, as someone who got to watch Frank Ragnow, having a center that can move well, and can get to that second level and block guys in space, I think that might maximize his skill set more than guard ever can.
Possibly. Well, I want to ask you this too, as far as value in the draft goes. If I gave you a prospect and I was like, hey, he's a guard, but he's going to be Quentin Nelson or Zach Martin, where are you drafting that guy? Like, guaranteed he's going to be on that level.
I start looking at him around probably 10.
I would argue that if you were like, hey, you're going to draft a guy who's going to be a top 5 guard, that you probably are still drafting that guy in the top 5 of the NFL draft. Like, I'd be fine if, like, they move Will Campbell to guard or to center and he's one of the very best in the league instead of what I just watched in the playoffs. I'm fine with that. I know there's going to be a lot of people that are like, hey, he was hurt. He was playing with a torn ligament. Like, you can't judge him based on these playoffs. I just think that's a really dangerous way to think, because if we go back to the regular season, I agree he was much better in the regular season, but look at him against, like, the elite guys he played against. Myles Garrett had 5 sacks against the Patriots, and people are like, oh, well, that's just Myles Garrett. It's not just Myles Garrett. He doesn't average 5 a game. He had 5 against us. He absolutely fucking annihilated Will Campbell in that offensive line. So did Max Crosby. So did, like, all of the elite pass rushers they faced annihilated us all season before the injury, and then especially after the injury in the playoffs. So I'm not even saying that Will Campbell can't be a tackle or that he has to move inside. I'm just saying, like, they really need to make a decision on it and not just be like, hey, we're loyal to him. He's our tackle, especially because we drafted him high, because he had problems throughout the season. And, like, some of those are rookie growing pains, sure. But if we come back next season, we have the same fucking problem. This is where we start getting into regression territory with the Patriots. Because I want to warn Patriot fans right now that next year is a regression year for them, for sure. They're not winning 14 games and going to the Super Bowl again next season, unless there's significant changes, because this game, if anything, showed the weaknesses on the Patriots roster I've been talking about for weeks, where it's like, this offensive line still sucks. Yeah. The weapons still suck. Like, Stephon Diggs, Matt Collins, Demario Douglas, Kayshon Boutte, you guys did a great job this season. Yeah. That is a bottom third of the league receiver room. And we saw it again. on Sunday. Nobody could fucking get open, even when they did have time. It was like they had like some tight ends get behind the coverage at some point, but it's like, JSN, Seattle really needs to play. JSN wins on a quick slant and gains 10 yards. We don't have a guy who can do that.
Yeah.
So that's a weakness. Edge is a weakness. Offensive line is a major weakness. Like there's lots of holes that need to be filled.
Efton Chisholm enough snaps.
I actually agree with that. I think Efton's going to be good, but he's not. No, he's not the number one outside guy.
I was only half joking when I said that.
Yeah, but the weaknesses were on full display for the entire playoffs. But I don't think you can just pencil. I don't think you could put Will Campbell in Penn as the left tackle next season. That's the decision they have to make, and I trust them to make it. They're way more qualified to make it than I am.
As someone whose team is in limbo at certain positions on the offensive line, approach it without saying hey, we're moving this guy to guard, while also not making your off season's approach that of, hey, this is our starting left tackle. Lions have certain guys that probably don't deserve to be in Penn as starters next year, right? The Lions don't know what's happening at left tackle. You have to address it to handle both ways. You have to, as the Patriots, approach the offseason in a way where there's a viable option for some to compete for that position. Because, if by week 5 it's clearly not working, you need to have someone that you can potentially go to, right? And while I'm not as in on Will Campbell as a guard as a lot of other people are, hey, maybe he can just be an Elgton Jenkins, right? Doesn't necessarily need to be the most dominant at a position. If he's able to move and be a part of the best 5 guys that you can get out there, that's valuable.
We just can't sit there and let him be a turnstile against elite competition.
And to the point that was made earlier is if the guy's not right, don't just leave him out there to suffer. As much as he wants to fight through it, you gotta pull him, because he can't do the things that he wants his body to do, because his body won't let him.
Yeah, I just wonder, it's like watching a goalie give up 8 goals in a hockey game. It's at what point is it just that's enough? Let's just see something else, right?
Yeah. If he's out there without an MCL or whatever it is, right? How is he supposed to anchor against 250 plus pound men that can move in ways that I still can't fathom? The fact that Myles Garrett has a move that's literally called the teleport move. What are you supposed to do about that if you don't have functioning ligaments?
Yeah. What are you supposed to do about it if you do? Honestly, God, that guy's crazy. And I know people are going to be like, oh, Pshaw, it was just Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett just does that. I'm like, okay, but he doesn't get 5 sacks in every single game, right? So maybe look at that and be like, this is a problem against elite talent. You know what it reminded me of? And this is not a good example because it's not elite talent, but when the Kings made the playoffs that one year, that one glorious Beam Team year, God, we're gonna start talking basketball next week because I'm so done talking football after this until April when the draft comes around. So this is a good transition. The one year we made the playoffs, Sabonis was our best player. Yeah. He was in the MVP voting. He was almost averaging a triple-double. He was awesome. And then he just went up against Kevon Looney in the Warriors series, and Kevon Looney just absolutely ate his lunch because he just wasn't, Sabonis just not athletic enough to deal with like big athletic guys. And part of me is like, is that going to be Will Campbell? Is like, sure, he's great against everybody except for like the cream of the crop, you know? And like just really, really struggles against like the Will Andersons and the Myles Garretts, which like is fair, but also you have to find a way to limit those guys in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You cannot let Drake May set the record for most sacks taken in a single playoffs, which is what just happened.
Yeah.
Right? He got sacked the most times and fumbled the most times of any quarterback in the history of the NFL in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Also
like,
posted the worst EPA ever.
It's fine to accept that you don't have and probably are not going to get one of the few tackles that can go one-on-one with the elite of the elite pass rushers, right? Like that's okay. You still have to do something to stop those guys. Like you throw a tight end at them, you know, have the running back chip, whatever. Do some like weird like motion slide blocking stuff, right? Like something. Yeah, you can't just let it happen though.
Yeah. Well,
since we mentioned Myles Garrett, I'm gonna throw a I don't even know how hot of a take it is out there. Chasing that record was the only thing stopping him from fully quitting on the season, like by like midway through the year.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we talked about him this season. Like, bro, you took the money. You don't get to be mad.
He never stopped complaining about the losing.
You knew what it was. He wrote a letter to the city saying, I'm leaving because I'll never win a Super Bowl here. And they're like, what if you never win a Super Bowl for $50 million a year? And he's like, I'm back, baby. And then it was awful and he hated it. I want to talk about Drake for a minute because I mentioned him and how he just posted the worst EPA.
Do you actually want to talk about him or do you have to?
No, well, both. But like I saw a graphic and it was like worst EPAs by starting quarterbacks in the history of the NFL playoffs, and it was like Drake May number 1, Trent Dilfer number 2, Rex Grossman number 3, and I was like, that ain't great. But like it was an absolutely impossible situation.
Yeah.
Put anybody, any quarterback in the league in the situation that he was in and show me the results. That's one hand. I just want to to defend my boy there. I did not leave the playoffs being like, shit, we don't have a franchise quarterback. No. I'm leaving this season as a whole being like, we have a franchise quarterback. We need to help him.
Yeah.
How do we help him more this offseason? And also acknowledging this was all way too much for him. It would have been too much for anybody. But I say all that to say, Sunday was the most I have missed Tom Brady since he left New England.
Yeah, I told my other friend who's a Pats fan, y'all were 2 years ahead of schedule. Like, next year's probably gonna suck because of the expectations based on this year, but like, you know, it'll probably be good roster building wise to take a step back next year, so.
Yeah, I think a lot of next year is going to depend on what they do this offseason. They have a lot of ability to create cap space this offseason. There's been a lot of rumors about like AJ Brown. You know, you got to address the offensive line, edge. Like, I mean, I know going into next season, we have Vrabel, we have Drake May, we have a really good defense. There's a lot there still. I don't expect it to be like the Washington Commanders fall off where, you know, we're like 5-12 or whatever. I expect them to be like competing for a wild card spot. Do they get one? I don't know. That's going to depend on what they do this off season. But I still think they're probably going to be like 8 or 9 win team, kind of like where we expected them to be this year. and then they blew past that.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say this again real quick, was Sunday was the most I missed Tom Brady since he left. Because like I say all this, I'm like, yeah, Drake was in an absolutely impossible situation. Nobody could have succeeded in this situation. But then there's also that, like, you know, I grew up for 20 years idolizing Tom Brady, even though he's a fucking asshole now, which we can talk about in a minute. But
Now
there was still part of me.
He's always been an asshole.
I know. Well, in a different way. But there was still part of me watching that Super Bowl thinking Tom Brady would have figured this out. If we had like, there will just always be that part of me that's like, Tom Brady could have made this work. You know, Tom would have done it, even if it's not true. Because
Tom Brady would have showed up to a basketball game.
Yeah, straight.
Dad.
Well, this like, I mean, look at the Rams Super Bowl. And I know we held the Rams to 3, so that's a completely different scenario. But it's like nothing's working the entire game, and then Tom just finds a way at the end. Like that's the thing. Tom just like kind of always found some kind of way. And I feel like one thing that Drake's going to need to learn, and that he will learn, he's only a second-year guy, is if Tom Brady's in that scenario and you're calling that game the way you're calling it, he's like, fuck no. He would make the changes. He'd be like, no, we're not doing that. And he would have the cachet to do that. Drake's not there yet. He's just doing whatever Vrabel and Daniels tell him to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave Drake a lot at the offensive line this year, like, or at the line of scrimmage, where he's like adjusting the coverage, or he's adjusting the protections and hot routes and stuff like that. But it's different when you have like the cachet of someone like Brady, where he's like, we're not running that fucking set. He's like, this next drive, we are going empty. This is what we're doing. You know, it's a different kind of cachet, and Drake will get there eventually. You got to earn that. But
I think it's worth noting too that Josh McDaniels is great to bring some sort of competency and stability to the offense. I think based on his history, there is going to be a very clear ceiling there with him as your play caller. At some point in Drake's career, there's probably going to be a point where everyone's going to be like, you know what? We could use a little bit more juice out of that orange, you know?
I just will say overall this season, and it's funny because like this season was a 150 mile an hour joyride for 20 whatever weeks, and we just fucking wrapped our car around a tree to end the season. And so it'll be remembered by the car accident at the end, but how phenomenal this season was versus what it was supposed to be is still something that should be celebrated. And I will say, they made a pretty good meal out of a lot of shitty ingredients this season.
Yeah.
Let's get the chefs some premium ingredients this offseason. Like, let's get AJ Brown. Let's do some other stuff. I know it's not that easy to just go get AJ Brown, but like, let's do some stuff. Let's go do some stuff and see what they can do with better ingredients. You know? But yeah, I was like, you know, I was so mad at Tom last week because he was like, I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm like, oh, fuck you, Brady. I don't have a dog in this fight. He was in New England for 20 years, won 6 Super Bowls with us. Like, the fans adored him for so long. And I understand that like Tom Brady's running the Raiders now, and that Seattle, he's hiring Clint Kubiak, Seattle's offensive coordinator, to be his next head coach. So he's like, oh, I don't want to, you know. My overall feeling on Tom, though, is that he is positioning himself not to be remembered as Tom the Patriot. He wants to be remembered as Tom Brady, the greatest football player of all time, and like the Tom Brady, like football mogul, like announcer, owner, former player, not former Patriot, where like guys like Teddy Bruschi, Rodney Harrison, Ty Law, so many names are really proud former Patriots. Gronk, Jules, Randy Moss, even though he was here for like 3 seasons, Randy's like, I'm a Patriot. The Vikings fans are like, you're a Viking. He's like, no, I'm not. Fuck you guys. But there's
that is a fair reaction.
Yeah.
By Randy.
But there's this very like long lineage and like brotherhood of all of the best Patriot players are all very proud former Patriot players.
Yeah.
And they love being Patriots. And Tom is just not like that because it's not what he wants to be remembered. He just wants to be remembered as like the greatest football player of all time. And I honestly, part of me is like Tom Brady wishes that he was LeBron James in a way where he's like, God, I wish I would have got to play for more teams so that people wouldn't just associate me with New England, even though we built a fucking statue of the guy out front, you know? And he does this like lame ass Instagram post where he's like, oh, I'm rooting for, you know, of course I want Robert Kraft to get another one. Like, go get another one so we can match Robert. You still didn't say you support the Patriots because he doesn't want to be seen as someone who supports the Patriots. He wants to be seen as an owner supporting another owner that he's friends with. So I missed Tom, the football player, on Sunday, but Tom, the retired person, can go shove it up his ass. I'm so sick of Brady. Like, I'm done with him as a former Patriot. Like, just be done.
Anyone who creates their own brand, like, those tea leaves are there.
They folded the brand. The brand's gone.
Right, but like the behavior of starting his own brand, though.
Yeah.
Like that.
No, but this is the whole thing. Is like he doesn't want to be.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be remembered as a former Patriot. So Patriot fans need to stop remembering him as a former Patriot. I don't have a dog in this fight. Fuck you, Brady. You know, I've said this before. I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but when they were playing, I obviously adored Brady and I absolutely hated Peyton Manning. Post-career, I hate Tom Brady and I love Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's great. He's having a great post-career. You know, he's not out there being like, oh, I don't care about the Colts. I'm a Bronco. Wait, he 100% is doing that shit.
He definitely did that.
He is so a Bronco. Which makes me like him more because I also hate the Colts, but he's doing the same shit. What else we got? That's like 50 minutes. Pretty much purely on the Patriots and not about the team that just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Credit to Mike McDonald and John Schneider because they put together for that defensive line room is kind of what every team is hoping they can get. I mean, every team would love to, have their own like high level stars on top of it too, but like they don't need it because they're like 12 deep with murderers on their defensive line. Like, It doesn't matter who's on the field. Like, those guys are winning their one-on-ones.
I was watching the game on Sunday thinking that John Schneider listens to the podcast. He must because the Seahawks have more my guys per capita than any other NFL team. So, Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen, Eamon Warry, Kenneth Walker, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. All my guys.
Well,
on this podcast.
John, we are available for hire. So
we so are.
So available honestly. For hire.
It doesn't even have to be for football. We're just available. We'll do stuff.
You have no idea how badly I need money. Like
that was like my dream is like, we do the My Guys podcast every year and it's so good and we just nail it every single year. Like to the point where we've only been doing it. This will be like our 6th time in April and we can already make an all-star team and it's like the best team in the NFL basically of just My Guys everywhere. My dream is just like to get so good at doing My Guys that NFL teams are just like, hey, we'll just pay you for your My Guys list and not like just don't
release that.
Yeah, they're like, don't air it until after the draft. Just like give us the list ahead of time. I live in Metro Detroit. I would just go to the Lions facility and just be like, here's who I like. Like, it's not even going to cost you a lot of money, honestly. I didn't even say you have to pay us a lot. Just hire us. We'll just do it. I'll do it for free. I think it'd be fun. Let me talk about it on the pod. Oh, man, what else? I said in the opening of this, I was like, we're just going to talk until I have to tap out talking about football. I also have a sinus infection right now, so I'm just loving life over here.
Sounds awesome and cool.
I got all my Patriot notes out. Honestly, I don't have a ton on Seattle, except for I agree with you. I don't go into next season being like Seattle should be the prohibitive favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll be back in the mix again because the defense is so young and so good.
Yes.
And some of these guys, a lot of my guys we just mentioned, they're only going to get better.
Yeah.
Except for maybe like Kenneth Walker next season. I think the loss of Zach Charbonnet hurts, but you can get a good pass blocking running back for not a lot in this league. Maybe not as good as Charbonnet, but you get a fine replacement for next season. But Sam Darnold wasn't good in this game.
No.
Like we said, they won with defense and special teams. So it's still a question mark to me. It's crazy to say this for Super Bowl winning quarterback. I'm like, I still don't know. I'm still unsure on Sam. And I think his stat line could have looked really different if some of the Pats could just kind of bring in some of the interceptions that he did throw.
Yeah.
That were dropped. Christian Gonzalez had 2. There was another, Carlton Davis had 1. Jalen Hawkins had 1. Woodson had 1. There was quite a few. So it's funny because he's locked in to be their franchise quarterback for the foreseeable future, right? Because won the Super Bowl, he had a great NFC championship game, give him credit there, but also could ultimately be the thing that holds them back from achieving similar success in the future.
Yeah, which I think that the contract he was given coming into this year was a 3-year deal that was essentially a 1-year deal. And my understanding is that what they have done since then has basically given him more guarantees. So, he really isn't going anywhere. So, we'll see. I just think it's so tough playing in that division. Stafford is not retiring. God help them if the 49ers ever stay healthy.
Yeah. Arizona might start Jacoby Brissett for an entire season. Could be a problem. Yeah, I don't. It's so hard to say right now, who are the favorites for next season going in, because there's so much is going to happen between now and when we start previewing these things again in August. I mean, Seattle will be up there. They deserve to be up there. I think the AFC, you're probably looking at the Broncos, the Bills. Again, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the Chargers this offseason with Mike McDaniel. I think that's going to become a really trendy pick going into next season. They get both those tackles back. They get Mike McDaniel. Maybe you add some more in the pass catching room this offseason. In the NFC, can your team bounce back? Can the Bears take a step forward? The Rams are obviously going to be an issue if they can catch punts next season, which is not a guarantee. And then, can't wait to come back next season and pick the Falcons to win the NFC South again and draft Bijan Robinson in the first round of my fantasy leagues. So, I mean, I don't have a ton to complain about. My team won 17 games. I got to watch my team win 17 games this year. I won my fantasy championship.
Yeah.
Good football season. Good football season overall.
Do you have any thoughts on any of the coaching hires now that those have all been settled and we really have not had a chance to talk about them? So
I guess I have two thoughts, and then I want to hear yours. One is I always go back to this point of why do we keep recycling these people that we know are not going to be successful? So Mike McCarthy getting the Steelers job just seems like it's so, they got rid of Tomlin after all this time because they need a new voice and all that stuff. And now your new voice is Mike McCarthy, and you're probably pairing him back up with Aaron Rodgers. Like, I don't understand it. But with coaching hires, the one thing I'm like going to be super, super interested in moving forward is I think you can look at what happened this season and say, and it's funny because the Bills did this in a way. So they're going to be the case study kind of, but I think you can look at what happened this season and say that like teams like the Ravens and the Buccaneers would have been way better served if they would have fired their coaches 2 years ago and promoted the hotshot coordinators.
Yep.
So for the Ravens, they fired John Harbaugh. If they had fired him like 2 years ago and promoted Mike Macdonald to head coach, that franchise is probably in a way better spot right now. Same thing with Todd Bowles and Liam Cohen for the Buccaneers. Like if the Buccaneers would have got rid of Bowles last year and just promoted Cohen, you know, and then I don't believe this one. I know you don't. I'm just going to say it, is that people would say, there are some people who would say the same thing about the Lions, is that like, should they have not let Ben Johnson out of the building? But just overall, I think like this is something you could look at and be like, who is going to be the first team that is in that situation where they have like Todd Bowles, who they're like, you know, he's serviceable, but the upside's not there. We have this like young hotshot dude who's a really hot coaching candidate. Let's move Todd Bowles to like the front office or something. Let's move him to a different role and promote the guy who's going to be the dude. Who's the first team to pull the trigger on that kind of thing? Yeah. That's something I'm really interested in.
We kind of know that was not the mindset that Buffalo had. They wound up kind of needing to choose who was willing to take the position.
Well, the key difference
because of their own behaviors.
The key difference with Buffalo is that Joe Brady was not a coaching consideration for anyone. Nobody was interviewing Joe Brady. No, is that like Cohen and Mike Macdonald and Ben Johnson were all like hot shot coordinators that people were like, this dude is the dude. But I'm just saying, like, the Bills kind of did do it in a way where they're like, we're going to fire our head coach and promote our offensive coordinator.
They did
head coach.
But bad.
Yeah, not the way you want
Which
to.
Is just so Bills.
The one that I would watch is Denver, with like Sean Payton just getting older.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of buzz about Davis Webb. And like, do you just get to the point where it's just like, hey, we really don't want to lose this guy. Let's move Sean Payton into like an advisory role and we promote Davis Webb.
Even calling plays and go straight to being a head coach.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying like next year. I'm just saying like that's one. Yeah. That's like an example. The Utah Utes are actually the first team to do this with Kyle Whittingham, who's now the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, where they were like, okay, we have to let him go because we have our defensive coordinator. We really want him to be head coach or else we're going to lose him somewhere else. So, but there will be, mark my words, there will be an NFL team that does this in the near future. I don't know who it's going to be, but like you just watch like, who is it? Minter just left the Chargers. Like, obviously they're not going to fire Harbaugh and promote Minter, but like, if the Chargers keep charging and Minter does a good job, where is he, in Baltimore? He does a good job in Baltimore, then that's going to be another one we're going to point to and be like, wow, would they have just been better served firing Jim Harbaugh? I just said John. Would they be better served firing him? I guess those are my two thoughts. Is like, why were like, and the Giants just hired John Harbaugh? Would they have been better served, like, you know, taking a chance on someone and hopefully striking gold like a Liam Cohen or a Mike Macdonald did? But how did you feel?
I've got to imagine that the Giants are after some of the news of like things that changed after they had started, you know, working on that deal with Harbaugh. They might have wished that they had that information before they went down that road. What does McDermott do this year? Does he just like completely step away from football for a year? Like,
he's got to go do TV. TV for McDermott. Like, just please take a year off.
I mean, selfishly, I would love for him to sign on as a defensive consultant. With Lions. Like, that would be an incredible opportunity for Calvin Shepard to be mentored, which I do feel like matured over the year. But yeah, like especially given the way he went out, I would not be surprised if he is offered a rather lucrative opportunity to do TV for a year. So,
oh yeah. How did you have any thoughts on the coaching hires you wanted to throw out before we sign off?
The Stefanski hire in Atlanta was weird to me. Like, on one hand, it makes sense who you're hiring with what your roster is, right? Like, hiring Stefanski is a hire with the intent of maximizing your best player. It is also a move that tells me that you don't plan on winning anything. like you know what Kevin Stefanski is.
They plan on enticing me just enough to pick them next year. I'm like, ooh, Bijan in a Kevin Stefanski running game. Ooh.
Right. I am a little excited about the idea of Jesse Minter in Baltimore. They have some work to do with the defensive roster for sure. But I mean, the guy is already familiar with, the Baltimore culture, and he's got guys on that roster that played in his system, like familiar with Lamar. Like that's just one of those that feels like it's gonna be good. Even if they missed out on Mike Macdonald, like
it basically feels like they hired Mike Macdonald 2 years later.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
We speaking of Minter, we did not talk about the most important coaching hire of all in all of football. His replacement in LA. The LA Chargers hired Western Michigan University's defensive coordinator to be their new defensive coordinator. Fuck you,
Go
LA.
fuck yourself.
God damn it. Just when I thought, like, we were bringing back like 8 of our defensive starters. We had our whole coaching staff intact. Like, and I did not think the Chargers of all people would be coming to Western Michigan, but like he coached safeties for the Chargers the year before he came to Western. But God, that pissed me off so much. But
yeah,
it'll be really interesting to see him make the jump as a DC from Western Michigan all the way to the LA Chargers. Like, that's a leap.
I also want to touch on this because I feel like the wrong person is getting the heat for this. So the New York Jets, weeks after the coaching cycle began and transactions were already being made, basically fired everyone but Aaron Glenn. And everyone is pointing at Aaron Glenn, who played in the NFL and was probably aware of the coaching cycle back then, and then has been a coach in the NFL and has literally been part of those coaching transactions over the years. In no way do I believe that Aaron Glenn just thought, yeah, I can replace my whole staff 3 weeks later than everybody else. Adam, do you have any idea who might think that's a good idea?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Woody Johnson.
It's gonna be Woody Johnson.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Woody Johnson has done this before, and the idea that he is not the one doing this again is just, all right, like, tell yourself what you want to tell yourself, I guess. But
we talk about how the NFL is a copycat league all the time, and like what the right lesson and what the wrong lesson to learn from things is. And teams are looking at like the Patriots, the Jags, who am I missing? The Seahawks,
Yeah.
like all these teams got new coaches in the last couple of years and they made these huge leap forwards. They're like, we all need new coaches. It's like, no, that's not the lesson. The lesson is not that you need a new coach. The lesson is that you need to nail your coaching hire.
Yeah.
And in a way, I actually like, for the Bills, I felt like it was such a, like firing Sean McDermott was the right thing to do like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When you
it
could
was
have
like
had more options.
the right thing done in the wrong way.
Right. And it is just way too late to do it. And they got totally screwed because they waited so long to do it. And then they're like, well, I guess we got to promote Joe Brady.
Well,
kind of stuck with that.
Now you're saddling your new head coach with a bad GM because you decided that not only did you not need to let them go, you needed to give them a promotion for doing a bad job.
But a bad GM who just learned how to swear.
Yes.
Very important skill because
hearing those quotes, I was like, oh, was he doing voice acting for Borderlands 3? Like,
it's just, I feel like he was at his press conference and he came in and he goes, fuck. And everybody's like, oh my God, he said it. This guy just said it. Holy shit, he said it. It was like a 5-year-old or not 5-year-old, but like a 5th grader who just learned like a new swear word. They're out on the park and they're like, ass. And everybody's like, my God, it's so crazy. They're going to be a fucking dumpster fire next year.
It's going to be
I'm here.
Like, what's crazy is
maybe
you guys could win the division.
I was going to say, maybe we will win the division because who's going to stop us? It's not going to be them.
It is possible that the Bills are just a 9-win team because of how fucked ownership and the front office is.
Fuck. That's gonna be my new favorite thing every time I think about Bean. What's his name? Brandon Bean?
Brandon Bean.
Every time I think about Brandon Bean, I'm just gonna lean really close into my microphone. Fuck.
Yeah.
So this good. Full circle moment on the podcast today. I started this podcast feeling really bad. Now I feel very optimistic about our chance to win the AFC East next year. But that is it for us. As always, Fouled Out can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Overcast, anywhere you get your podcast. You can also watch the video version of this podcast on YouTube. Go over there, like and subscribe the channel. Help us grow it over there. But however you guys are checking out the pod, really appreciate your support. Game plan for the next however long, I forget how many weeks it is. 6 weeks until March Madness?
I don't know how time works.
I don't know. Flat circle. We're going to start talking NBA basketball next week because I'm ready to move on. So maybe we'll do some episodes with Clint coming up.
Absolutely.
Next week, we're going to go over like what, kind of catching up on the NBA season, what we think the most interesting things are, like either going forward or like most interesting things that have had happened so far. So that'll be fun. I have some good ones for next week. So this is last NBA take of the week. Since we're going to just start talking NBA basketball, we're going to have a new take of the week. Maybe it'll be like NHL take of the week or like underwater basket weaving take of the week. But last NBA take of the week before we talk about basketball full time. Matt, what do you got?
Let Isaiah Stewart fight. Let him fight.
Yeah. This is
suspend him if you need to, but like let them fight.
This is the thing that hockey has right that every other league has wrong, where they're just like, you know what? What if we just let them, grown men on standing on razor blades on frozen water, what if we let them punch each other in the face? It's like, it's fucking brilliant. And the NBA is like, oh God, we have a scuffle. Everybody has to get on the court to clear it up. Miles Bridges wants the smoke. Let him get the smoke.
Seriously, who doesn't want to see a serial abuser absolutely get crushed?
I would pay. That's what I texted you guys the other day. Is I was like, I am so here for Isaiah Stewart absolutely putting Miles Bridges in the ground. In the NBA, Is there anyone you would like one-on-one? If you had a one-on-one tournament for the NBA, is there anybody you would rather bet on than Beef Stew?
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, Beef Stew is the
Yeah.
number one draft pick. Like if we're fighting, we scrapping, that's the number one person. You ever see those things on like social media where it's like there's like 5 people and it's like you have to pick one person to defend you and the other 4 are going to try to attack you? I feel like if you did that with NBA players, I would just pick Beef Stew. I'd be like, and you could pick any 4 NBA players you want to come get us. Except for Javaris Critterton.
There is one potential rival there. NBA top 30 member Steven Adams.
This is true. This is true. My NBA take of the week, we're just going to talk about this now because I don't want to talk about it moving forward. The NBA All-Star Game is coming up, and every single year with the All-Star Game coming up comes all of the conversations about how do we fix All-Star? You know, and this year they're doing USA versus the world is like the gimmick where it's like international. There's an international team and there's a USA team, but also there's like 2 USA teams, and the game format is extremely confusing where like team A plays team B in the first quarter, then team B plays team B in the second quarter. Like Zach Lowe said this on a podcast recently. If you have to explain the gimmick in more than one sentence, the gimmick doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Here's my take on NBA All-Star Week. It doesn't need to be fixed. Let's just acknowledge it sucks and move on. I guess I'll put it this way. It's not a serious like basketball event.
No.
It's been called, what is it? Like the Black Oscars, where like all of the most famous Black people are like all go to NBA All-Star Weekend and they party all weekend and they have fun and do all this. Like just let it be what it is. You know? Why do we have to fix it? It doesn't need fixing. It's a weekend for everybody to just celebrate and party and just have a stupid basketball game where people shoot like half-court shots and throw lobs and like just do fun stuff.
You can't remember who said it. Which player? This is just some random Redditor or guy on Twitter. I refuse to call it what Elon wants. I don't know that I fully agree with them, but the timeline lines up. Basically, they claimed that LeBron James ruined the All-Star Game.
Oh yeah, this isn't a random basketball player. This is Kevin Garnett.
It was Kevin Garnett. Okay.
Yeah. He was on a podcast with Paul Pierce.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Because the way the All-Star Game used to go was, guys would kind of mess around and goof around for the first 3 quarters. And then the 4th quarter, that shit was a live fucking wire. Like, those guys went fucking at it. And tuning in for the 4th quarter of the All-Star Game during that period of time was must-see TV.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just, and I saw the video you're talking about where it's like, you know, Jordan dribbled up and I forget, like Bird picked up Jordan and they're like, oh, we got to go at it. And then like Jordan picked up Kobe and they're like, we got to go at it. And then like Kobe picked up LeBron and LeBron like passed the ball was basically what he was saying. And he's like, that ruined the All-Star Game. I think partially like what has ruined it is like the globalification of basketball and the fact like all these guys know each other from such a young age and they're all friends that we don't have a lot of like real rivalries.
Yeah.
You know?
I like I said, I don't fully agree with it, but like I get like the timeline lines up. And I'm not gonna completely dismiss LeBron's influence in this. LeBron, for better or worse, was the guy who led the charge on all of the players are friends. Right. Like they're all buddies. With a few exceptions here and there. And the culture, the mindset has definitely somewhat changed. Whether or not that is like some terrible thing is totally up to perspective. The Banana Boat Boys is a very real thing, right? That was never a thing that happened before in the NBA.
Yeah. I mean, I also think the thing that happened with All-Star is that they made a conscious effort to be like, hey, we're going to use this weekend to not only celebrate the guys who are like the All-Star level players, but we're going to push the like lesser known guys with the dunk competition and the 3-point competition. Nobody gives a fuck about the dunk competition anymore because it's 3 guys you've never heard of in your entire life.
Yeah.
And like, not that it can't be good, because like Mac McClung did it a couple of years ago. It was pretty electric, but like nobody wants, like, if you're telling me ahead of time, it's like Mac McClung, Derek Jones, and someone else. I'm like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
It used to be like Vince Carter and like Larry Bird used to do the 3-point shootout and like all this stuff. And like, people want to see you want to watch All-Star Weekend for the names that right?
Yeah.
Like, the fact that like LeBron James never competed in a dunk contest is absolutely ludicrous. Yeah. When he was, not now, but like back when he was in his prime, that would have been must-watch TV, right? Like, these are the things, I want to see Victor Wembanyama in the 3-point contest against Steph Curry, Dame Lillard. Like, those are all the guys I want to see. I don't want to see, it's like, oh, the 12th player from the Pistons is going to be in the 3-point shootout. Okay, cool. I don't care about that. I'm not spending my Saturday watching that, right?
Still better than Joel Embiid.
Fair. But like, so I think there are like easier fixes than like, whoa, why can't we figure out this game? Like, you don't need to. You don't need to figure it out. Just accept that it sucks. All-Star games suck. They just suck. The Pro Bowl sucks.
Yeah.
Every other All-Star game sucks. Just let it be what it is. Let it suck. Be done with it.
Yeah, I would even say, like, for the Pro Bowl too, like, it is better when you accept it that like what you're tuning in to watch isn't football. Like, flag football is a fundamentally different sport.
Don't watch it.
Just don't watch it. But like, don't. Also, like, basically all these guys basically more or less grew up playing flag football because 7-on-7 is such a big deal. Know that what you're tuning in isn't the real thing. Tuning in for isn't the real thing, right? Yeah. Like, it's not. And if you're gonna watch it, okay, try to enjoy it. If not, you don't need to fucking bitch about it. Just like, don't watch it. Stay away from it. Like, the money's the only thing that they're gonna respond to anyways, so you engaging with it is only going to reinforce it being there. So,
Yep. So, football is over. We got basketball. We got Olympic hockey starting tomorrow. For those of you who like hockey, that's going to be super fun. NHL players back at the Olympic for the first time in a while. NBA season's in full swing. Other fun stuff. Matt and I will be talking NBA basketball for the next 4 weeks. March Madness Selection Sunday is set for March 15th, so we will jump into March Madness after that, and then NFL Draft. Be a good break for me, not to talk about football. But Matt, I will see you next week for our first NBA podcast of the year.
Hell yeah.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, Robin.